Welcome to the Bearded Bro Show podcast. I am one of your hosts, Dustin, and I am forever joined by...
Trav, as always. How's it going, guys? Good to be back.
Yes, and a quick PSA that I want to announce real quick. And I told Trav I was doing a PSA. I didn't tell him what it was. This episode is not going to be political. I know there's a lot going on in the world with the election right now, and America, regardless, is going to burn because everything's very sketchy. This is not a political podcast, and I just want to say, if you have friends, you guys can vote for different people and still be friends at the end of the day, because this is the way I look at it. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, so you can vote for different people and still love each other. Do not ruin a friendship over political garbage. That's all I want to say.
Or family. Don't ruin the family closeness that you have.
Yes.
Because everyone's got an opinion. It gets kind of awkward when someone's like, oh, Biden this, Trump this, whatever. But the one thing that I'll add to it, too, is something I thought of earlier. Oh, yeah, Ashley was telling me this morning, is like, it's more... like somebody I know, I won't say who he is, but he was like, what does any of this matter, like, because it's not really going to affect me, yada yada, blah blah blah, the whole like no voting thing, yada yada. Anyway, he basically said that, like, what is it going to matter? And then like Ashley's comeback on it was, well, it's about caring about others and how it affects the people you love.
Yep.
Not necessarily, like, if you think of it as just yourself, then you're selfish, and we have a problem like that in this country where it's like that. But anyway, like Dustin said, we're not going to get political. I just wanted to touch on that.
I support who I support. Trav supports who he supports, and we're still friends at the end of the day. I don't even know who Trav supports. It doesn't matter, but that's not what this is about. Yeah. This is going to be the place where you guys can come, and by the time you're watching this, we'll have had a decision on the president. We should, anyway, by Friday. But if not, let this be your safe space to come and just listen to some stuff that Trav and I are going to talk about. But no political stuff.
To that.
We're not talking about it. I know Trav has some things he kind of wants to lead off with, and I kind of want to talk about something at the end that I just watched for the first time, and I was very pleased. So take it away, good sir.
I was like, wait, you're going to say it, but then it was such a cliffhanger. Okay, so first off, something really funny happened earlier that I'm going to touch on just because it's funny. So I got this random call that was in the same area code as me. And I pick it up, or no, I didn't pick it up. I was in the shower earlier. I get out of the shower and like I check my phone and I had like a couple messages and a missed call, a mysterious number. And lately, I've been, this radio station me and Ashley listen to have been doing this $1,000 giveaway thing. So you, like, type in to, like, 200 or whatever, like, the code, and you have a chance. So if so whenever I'm in the car or something on the way to work or whatever, or on lunch, if I happen to hear it, like, I'll send the code to her, and there's just a bigger chance for either of us to win. Because if me or her win that, we're going to split it, like, 500, so... that would be awesome. Extra $500, like, heck yeah, but the chances are slim. It's just fun to try to do.
Right.
Because it's like, text love to 200 or whatever, and it's just like a ridiculous, like a random word. But, I thought maybe it was a call from like that, because you're supposed to get a call or whatever. Be sure to answer and all this stuff, and it's like, well, if I miss it, I miss it. And I called back just to see. And it was the funniest thing, because I could tell that it was like kind of a, I ain't got no man, like, type of black lady, like, just that voice. She's like, literally, I call back, and what I hear when she picks up is, I'm trying to do an impersonation, like, this better be good if you call me this time of hour or something. Or this time. No, she said this time of night. And then I paused. I waited because I couldn't believe what I just heard. And then she said she waited and she didn't hear anybody else because I didn't say anything. And then she's like, it better be good. Like, she just kept saying that. And so I just hung up. I definitely was like, and that happened tonight, guys, the night we're recording this. So I was like, Dustin, I got something funny. It's just random entertainment for you guys. Let us know in the comments if you're listening on YouTube. Have you ever had like a random call? Like, I know some of you guys, I've heard some crazy call stories and prank call stories and stuff, but all I was gonna say to her, if I did say something, is, oh, sorry, I had the wrong number. I have the wrong number, but I usually just start off with like, hey, I got a call from this number. Like, and we live in a world where like calls like that, whenever I was a kid and people would call the house and do that, that's more of something for back then. Like, I think we've become more of like a society, I guess I could say, that just kind of like, you just ignore calls. And like, if it's a random, like, Ryan is like the biggest example of like, he's a good example of a guy that if he don't know the number, he ain't answering. And it's like, that's fine, but sometimes I have gotten calls from people that I do know that they tracked my number down and like they needed to get a hold of me for something. And it's like, I know there's that whole standard, that wall you build of like, well, if you don't have my number, then sometimes I just like, if I get a new number or something, which I did like a year ago, it's almost a year since I had my new phone, I had to get a whole new number. Like, it's like, what was I even saying? I'm just going brain dead now. Either way, that was really funny. That made my night. She doesn't know she did, but if you're listening, lady, shout out to you. It's just so random. Like, I don't know. Like, it's like you call me, and sometimes, my dad like butt dials me all the time. Has no idea. I'll get a call from him. I'll just text him, butt dial. He's like, probably okay. Like, just and that's it. The universe always tries to tell me to talk to my dad, and honestly, sometimes it's worked. He's called and butt dialed. And then, like, there's that thing where you just hear noises because he obviously doesn't know. And then I'll call him back. And he'll be like, he's like, hey, stranger, or whatever. And I'm like, you butt dialed me. He's like, oh, and then we talk. So it's like, there can be good out of it. But I just wanted to touch on that. Let us know in the comments, guys, if you ever had any funny calls. That one was amazing. So I could tell that it was just, she was so, like, and this wasn't even 10 p.m. yet. And I'm thinking, dang, girl, you going to bed early then. Like, that's what I should have said. I should have said it in that voice and then hung up. Like, well, dang, girl, you're going to bed early. Like, you never know people's schedules, but it was really freaking funny. Just like, it better be a good reason to be called this late at night. Pause. Better be a good reason. Like, she didn't even say hello. She was just waiting. And so, that is amazing.
I've never had like a funny call like that from a random person. But when I first got this number, and what I'm about to say, this shit literally lasted for probably, oh god, dude, I don't know, probably like 3 years before it ever finally got resolved. Okay, so I got this number. God, I've had the same number for probably 6-7 years now. When I got this number, I kept getting voicemails from this lady who worked in a doctor's office, and she was like, hey, Autumn, just calling to confirm your appointment for your daughter on this day at this time. And I never answered the calls. Like, I was never able to answer them. I was always doing something. I was never able to answer the calls, but I kept getting these voicemails. So I noticed that every time I got them, like, it was this lady confirming that I had appointments, that my name was Autumn for my daughter. I don't know what my daughter's name was, but like, whatever. Apparently that I had. My name was Autumn, I guess. I was a chick. And the dates kept changing, so I'm like, okay, well, this Autumn person is obviously making appointments for her daughter, but has not updated her number. So, like, and it was always the same nurse. It was always the same nurse that called. And, like, eventually, like, after a while, after a couple months, I finally was able to answer, and I was like, hello? I'm like, oh, can I speak to Autumn? And I was like, I don't know who Autumn is. Well, you have an appointment for your daughter, maybe you're her husband, boyfriend. I was like, I don't know who the fuck you are. I don't know who the fuck Autumn is, and I don't have kids, because this is pre-Trista. And this lady's like, oh, okay, I'm sorry for the confusion, we'll take your number off. Every fucking week, I continuously got a call from this lady confirming these appointments. So
it's probably literally like one number off or something, or there's just like a 4 that needs to be a 3.
But it was consistent.
Or something, like
it was consistent. So like then I'm thinking, I was like, okay, if this lady has a kid and they're literally, like I said, every week, once a week, I was getting these calls. I'm like, okay, obviously this kid has a serious medical problem or constantly needs to be at a doctor or a hospital or something. Why is this bitch not updating her fucking number in their systems? And I've answered this call numerous times, and it's the same thing. And I'm like, I do not know who this person is. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, we'll change it. And eventually, like, the one time I got the call, and I was like, listen, I want to talk to somebody above you. And she's like, why? And I was like, you keep calling me. I don't know an Autumn. I don't have a daughter. This has been going on for, like literally 3 years this went on. And they finally fixed it. But that was like...
Yeah, it takes a while for that kind of crap all the time.
And I mean, yeah, and I've gotten calls, like, you know, like... calls like, hey, Jack! And I'm like, no. Oh, sorry, wrong number, hang up. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. But yours, like... Listen, if I would have called that number back and if that lady would have said that to me, I would have laughed. I don't know how you didn't laugh. I would have been like, well, you called me? It better be good.
I was trying to hold back because of the embarrassment of, like, if I just, you know, started... I was trying not to breathe, too. I didn't want to be creepy, like... It's like, I just got out of the shower, too. I was probably, like, hot and, like, just, like... It's like I'm trying not to breathe and, like, just sound like I just got out of a hot shower. And, man, it was just... It was funny, though, and I wish I knew who she was. Like,
maybe she'll call you again.
Maybe she will.
If she does, be like, I don't know who you think you are calling me this time of day, but it better be good.
Yeah, and I mean, who know? And you know, I don't know her race. She could be a white chick. I don't know, but I mean, but she definitely had that sound. She had that Popeyes lady commercial, like type voice, and it just like I don't know, love that chicken for Popeyes. Anyway, I had to say it, but anyway. So,
I just want to say quickly, too, before we get into this, I want you guys to know my dedication to you in this podcast, all right? The computer that I sit at, where I live stream, where I record this podcast, where I do all my YouTube videos, is the same computer that I sit at and work. And I sat at this computer from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. today, said goodbye to my wife as she went to work, come back up here, live stream for an hour and a half. It is currently 12:54 in the morning, and I am recording this podcast with Trav. I'm dedicated. I've been in this chair all day.
It's so funny, too. It's so funny that, like, you were kind of concerned, and I kind of was a little bit like, I don't know, maybe won't be able to record. And then it hit me the other day. Actually, this is going to help us recording time because you won't be in a rush to go to bed. And, I mean, you're just, like... I'm not saying this is like your noon. I don't know what this is like for you right now, but you're already up having to stay up late for work, so it's actually working out really well.
They're actually they actually offered me a better time for the same amount of money, and like I was telling Trista, I was like, honestly, it's better if I don't do overnights because that is going to be so fucking hard to adjust to with both of us. Yeah. So I'm just going to take the new shift. So that's what I'm doing.
What's the new shift? Early mornings?
12 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Oh, that's not bad.
Nope.
That's basically
like your shift.
Mine by an hour, almost my shift, 1 to 10. But, and hey, I mean, that might work out too. But, so, what the F was this random text? Anyway... Why my mic just spiked red when I said that? Jeez, that was too close. Sorry, Lucas. Love you. I did it again. Okay, I'm going to stop paying attention to it. I went axe throwing, by the way. Just saying. We went out for Ashley's birthday, and that was definitely something that I thought of Dustin for because I was like, I think he would enjoy this, and it may not be disc golf, but it's a whole other level of danger, and the first thing, because, like, and it was funny because the people that took us is, like, Kelsey, shout out to Kelsey. I've shouted her out before. She's actually listened to the podcast before. What's up, Kelsey? And she took us to, it's called Civil Acts. And, it was like for Ashley's birthday thing. And I'm trying to remember what was I about to say about that. Yeah, we thought when we were eating dinner before we went, we thought that they have tried it or whatever. Like, it was like oh, you gotta try this. But we all, like, we asked them, it was like, anybody done it? And everybody at the table was like, no. So it was literally like a huge, like, everyone's freaked out, sort of. Like, it turns out Ashley was more nervous than I thought she was, because she told me afterwards, like, yeah, I was kind of freaking out when he was showing us, like, there was a guy showing us how to do it. Like, because you just have these sections, like, you have this boxed-in section beside you that's each, like, family or couple or whoever's playing.
It's almost like a bowling lane. I've never done it, but I've been in places that you could do it. Yeah, it's like a bowling lane.
Because we had our own little section. It wasn't that big or whatever, but, like, with two separate wooden targets, and we just did we divided it as guys versus girls, and we were 3 couples, so we did couple versus couple. So whenever we were up, I was against Ashley, and yeah, it was fun. I was surprised to hit, I think, 1 or 2 bullseyes, if I remember. I don't want to say I've hit 2 and then, like, yeah, it may not be true, but I remember for sure, because some of it was a blur. Like,
Trav was drinking.
It's your turn really, really quickly. Like, you're not expecting, like, because it was 3 couples, so 2 going at the same time, or, well, they still both take a turn or whatever, but you wait for the other person to hit their target or not, and then you pick your axe up. Because it was way more organized than I expected. I thought it would be very, like, oh, you gotta, like, watch out for, like, you gotta, when you're picking up your axe, like, you know, make sure no one's throwing. It's actually, like, organized. You wait for the other person to do it, then it's the other 2 people's turn. It was way more organized than I thought. It's so, Ashley's sister, Paige, and her boyfriend, Rick, they were before me, and so every time Rick would do it, like, we were up next, and whenever I would hand the axe over to, like, Dylan, Kelsey's boyfriend, he every time was like, oh, like, he was zoning out, and it's just, like, it was so weird how fast your turn is. And then, like, so what I was about to say about that is, some of the throws were kind of a blur to me. Like, it was so many times that, like, and there's a little one and a big one, so you could do the two-handed. The little one, surprisingly, you would think, oh, it's lighter and, like, easier to throw, but it's actually harder to hit because I guess just the weight, and easier to just bounce off and stuff. But Dylan was trying to say that, like, these axes probably aren't even sharp enough. But it was interesting. It was definitely something that, like, I don't know, perspective, like, you know, Assassin's Creed Valhalla's coming out. You're going to be able to throw axes in people's faces and stuff, and I was thinking about that, and I've seen movies where, you know, people do that and stuff, and it's just like, geez, the force you would have to do. Once you actually do it, you get perspective on what that would take. And yes, my brain went straight to, like, killing people with an axe. Just saying.
Perfectly normal.
I don't know why. It was the night before Halloween, so give me a break.
And Trav, but I just want to say, I feel like a proud father. Trav tried Blue Moon and many other drinks.
Oh yeah, I did. Better than I expected, but I still was like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like,
you gotta have
like
it on
you said,
draft.
I gotta try it the other way. But I just personally, so far, I don't think that I'm that type of beer person after it, because before trying anything like that, I never was like, I didn't know what any of that's supposed to be like until I had, like, Bud Light. Bud Light, when I tried it a year ago at Ashley's birthday, at the same bar, I was just like, I don't know, man. I just my opinion, it just tastes like grainy, like seed, like, I call it bird seed ground up into liquid. I don't know. I get it, but maybe that's just my brain. Like, I've had, like, the fruity drinks, the sour, the sweet stuff, and so after you try that and then go to, like, that grainy stuff, I'm just like, I didn't know what any of that's supposed to be like. And so I think beers like that are just like, it's I don't know. It's for people that are used to that, and for Dustin.
Beer in general it's a very acquired taste. It's not generally something you're going to pick up right away and be like, oh, this is fucking great. I mean, you might, but I mean, to be honest, dude, I didn't like beer until I was probably like 24.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stand beer when I was 21. I thought it was terrible. And then I don't know, man, just one day I was like, yeah, this shit's actually not too bad. And then that was it, man. It was over from there. But
well, I'll transition to the main subject because I know we need to get to that. And it's something that I hit up Dustin with because I think it's something that's really important. It's something that is very, like, I don't know. We're going to talk about relationships, guys. All right, let me just get comfortable here and just sip on this bang.
Want a bang?
And, you want a bang?
Hashtag not sponsored. We drink liquid ice.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm kind of feeling like a traitor.
How could you?
So, relationships. And the reason that this happened, and I'm not going to call the guy out. I don't know. He'll never probably listen to this podcast. But he's my neighbor, but he's also by somebody I work with. I don't work with him directly. We just cross paths every now and then. And long story short, he looked me dead in the eye because I don't think he saw my ring, but he said something. What was it? He was like, basically the conversation wound up where he was like, "Oh, I didn't know you were married," and I'm like, "Yeah," and I kind of like wiggled the ring in front of him, like, "Yeah, I mean, it's right here." Like, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to miss though. It's like a big black ring, so I don't know. But he was like, he looked at me dead in the face after saying that and was like, "It's hard, isn't it?" I'm like, "Not really." And I can understand that. I would say some stuff, but I'm not going to talk about him at all. Let's just say there's definitely something wrong there with their relationship. They're married, and I feel for him, but I'm kind of like, I don't know. I understand that, like, sometimes you go into the relationship and it's all good, and then, like, I've just heard these stories that make zero sense to me all the time, which is, like, as soon as you get married, it ruins it. It, like, activates, like, I mean, sometimes it's true. I have friends that are women that go into a relationship and then they got married and the guy just like changed. It was like, oh, I've got you locked in now, girl, and here's the true me. That is a totally different story for another podcast. And how, you got to get out of that, girl, guy, whoever you are. You got to get out of it. And that's just, like, to kind of get to the point, is the whole point of the podcast is, it is not supposed to be hard to be in a relationship.
No, not at all.
Period. It is supposed to be a bonus type of thing in your life. I'm not the best guy with words. I don't know how to really word it, except for just what I know and what I feel. And that's just, like, that aspect of, like, it's something, it's supposed to be, what's the word? There's supposed to be, like, a word. Bonus is, like, a good word, but it's not quite, it doesn't have enough depth. While
you think about it, I'll kind of touch on what you're trying to say is, no, relationships,
a blessing, really. It's supposed to add. Basically, it's supposed to add something to your life. Is all I'm trying to say. And if not become your life, I mean, go ahead and let your significant other be everything about your life, if you want. There's some bad stuff to that too, but and I wanted to hit Dustin up with this. I'll let him say what he was gonna say, but I wanted to hit Dustin up with this before he gets married. And there's a reason for that.
Because you want to wait to see what it's like after I get married, if my opinions change.
Yeah, no. But I have that trust with you two, though, where you guys are going to be like me and Ashley, where nothing changes.
Nope.
I mean, it's on paper, sure. The ring, sure. The official wedding, sure. But as a relationship, here's what I don't get. And this is what people are like, yeah, it just changes things and everything. I'm like, but how? It's not supposed to. Like, do you feel, like I said, I'll let Dustin say it, but I'll ask him this question first. Dustin, do you feel like, you kind of feel with Trista that you're sort of already married? Like, it's not on paper yet, but everything that you guys have established as a relationship should just already be, like, the way it is, and after the wedding, it'll be the same as it is right now.
Yeah, it's going to be exactly the same.
Financially and all that, that's different, but you two as trusting each other, relationship, establishing everything, that's why I've always said it is so important to establish all those things before you get married. But yeah, take it away.
I mean, don't get me wrong, and people do say, like, oh, I've heard people say the same thing, oh, marriage is hard, and nothing in life is necessarily easy, and I mean,
no,
even in just a relationship, not being engaged and not being married, like, you're going to go through hard times, you know what I mean? Like, that's a given. You're going to have disagreements, you're going to have fights, you're going to have arguments, that it's unavoidable, in all honesty. But, if you guys can make it work in a normal relationship, like, we had a disagreement, whatever, we were pissed off at each other, we said what we said, you kiss, you make up, you move on, right? If you can do that in your relationship now, then that's something that should never change when you're married. Because, Tristan and I have a very great relationship. Tristan and I, and, like, shout out to Lucas, he says it all the time. Lucas literally says, I will never have a love unless it's like Dustin and Trista. And
yeah,
we just have such a fun, unique relationship. And it's kind of crazy too, because she actually just posted a memory on Twitter, like 2 days ago.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it was like 11 years ago.
Like 11 years ago, right? And like I've told the story on the podcast before. Tristan and I were split up for almost a decade, like 8 years, and we found our way back into each other's lives. And thinking about it after seeing her post that, our relationship is the exact same now that it was 11 years ago. It's still the same fun,
you guys
loving, caring relationship.
Matured, though, yeah.
That was just it. And it's not even necessarily like we matured. I mean, like, we grew up, and, like, obviously, like, we both work. There's kids involved. Like, we lived together. We didn't live together 11 years ago and we didn't have kids. I mean, yeah, things have changed, but our relationship has stayed the same. And, even back then, like, we always talked about, like, being married and everything, and now it's kind of crazy it's happening. And it's like, nothing's going to change. The only thing that's going to change is her last name. Other than that, like, our relationship and what we do together as a couple is not going to change.
See, that's what I figured you would say, and that's what I like and to hear, because I think it's important. I think it's something that's like just important, because it like, you just shouldn't. What I was gonna say when Dustin was saying that, I'm having so many brain farts today, guys. Welcome to the freaking show. It was something I was gonna say there. When Dustin was talking, dang it, what was it? I was really tired tonight, guys. Forgive me. Lucas, you can cut this out if you want. I don't care.
We don't care, Lucas.
God,
I care about you.
What was it? I had so much build up to this episode, and then I'm just like flatlining it on my side. But
well, I can.
Okay. Yeah. What I was gonna say.
Oh, now you got it.
What? No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Okay. I was gonna talk until you got it.
You're like keep the thought, because you'll forget. Keep the thought, Trav. I have seen couples tear each other apart for every little thing that each other does. Does it get to a point sometimes where, like, you just, there, you know, I have some, you know, maybe there's some things in me and Ashley, like, I've known her to do a certain thing, or I do a certain thing that irritates the heck out of each other, and so maybe eventually it'll come out in a conversation like, why do you do that, or what? You're gonna have your moments, but I can't stand, and I've been around a lot of couples in my life, and I just like, and whether they're married or not, or they're like in their boyfriend girlfriend, but they've been together 5 years, working on getting married, and maybe have a kid or two, and it's just like, I can't stand seeing that. Like, it's their relationship. It's their business. I'm not going to get involved whatsoever because it's not my thing. Because at the end of the day, I'm kind of like, I care about things, but I know to not care too much about a lot of things in life. You just got to be like, well, that's their problem. I mean, you know, because you got your own stuff to worry about. Because at the end, like I said, at the end of the day, I don't care. But it's like,
it's irritating
if
to
these
see.
people were, if these people couples that did that came to me, and I've had this happen, like maybe friends and stuff come to me and be like, you know, how do you make it work? Like, you and Ashley have been together for as long as you have, and like we never split up once. And I'm not saying like I'm not gonna come out here on this podcast and say my relationship is better than all y'all's, because it just like but I do feel like there's knowledge there to be given if people wish to hear it. And one key factor that I think is important is, like, do not take each other's flaws and make it like a daily thing to like bash each other. Now, sometimes I've seen those couples that are like, they kind of do that as a joke and it's funny and they have fun. There's a difference between that and the people that where it actually is hurting each other, and you can tell. Because, like, that's what I can't stand. We all have flaws, man. I'm like a freaking idiot all the time around Ashley, and I'm always doing something stupid because I'm a freaking guy. Like, Dustin knows, we just do things. Sometimes we're not thinking, or we say things and you're not thinking.
All the fucking time, man.
And,
amen.
You try to. I mean, I always have this thing, like, where I'm like, if we're having a moment, I'm like, think before you speak. Think. Sometimes I get quiet, and she's like, you're not adding anything to this, and I'm like, I'm thinking about what to say because I don't want to go too far. And she understands and respects that, because she sees that I'm actually trying to think it through. If I get quiet, I'm thinking, and it takes time for me, because if you just rapid, like, you're just mad and you just rapid, so I have taken her and I've been like, let's calm down and rationalize this. It's just the cliche thing, like, breathe, you know, and all that, because at the end of the day, we don't want to fight. Usually when it ends up being something like that, it's like by the end of the night, we're like, I'm sorry too, yada yada. It's just like, you gotta have that respect for each other, because we're all just human, man, and I can't stand, like, and like I said, I'm not gonna say too much about the guy I work with, but I just see things that's like, I hear things, actually, I'll say that, between them, and I'm just like, what is the point in just yelling, man? Like, just utterly, like, you make me so mad, and stuff like that. You sound like a 10-year-old. Anyway.
Grow the fuck up.
Yeah, there you go. I was gonna say F, but then I was like, you know what, leave it to Dustin. Explicit content.
Yep. I got you.
Last episode was definitely explicit, and thank you, Lucas, for putting it as explicit, because that was exactly, and he put a little description thing saying parental advisory is required. Because it was so, he literally texted me throughout editing that, and it was like, literally, dude, what am I listening to? Like, I warned you, I gave him the full warning before I had him edit that. I'm like, this is gonna get crazy.
We talked about toes.
But anyway. I talked about Margot Robbie's freaking butthole or something at some point, and that's where it just plummeted, and I'm just like, what? I mean, not in a bad way, but that's where it was really like, it was like a freaking race car down a hill. So that, to me, guys, I think this is important. I am only giving you my advice, my viewpoint on this. We've actually, and I haven't heard from him in a while, but we actually did when the podcast first started. Pretty much, we did have that guy tweet at us on the messages, and having some trouble with that. I need to touch base with him, I guess, sometime soon, and be like, "Hey, how's that going?" or whatever, you know.
Right.
Because it was a marriage issue, and I just here's my underlining statement with this whole thing is like, I do not, people that have this mindset, and I will never agree with it. People have this mindset of, I'm meant to be with this like, okay, yeah, you found the one, okay, like, but no, we might lose some listeners. I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna drop the bomb right here. All right, I'm gonna drop this.
He's gonna do it.
This is just how I feel.
He gonna do it.
This is how I feel.
It better be good.
Dustin builds it up like it better be good. Like we haven't said anything worse. Like, but anyway, Margot Robbie's butthole.
We love a good butthole.
Anyway, oh, please, Trav, don't forget it. For the love of God, it's fading. What was I gonna say? Crap.
What was Trav gonna say? What was he gonna say? So.
Oh yeah.
Here.
I think
every time. Hold the phone here. Every time you lose train of thought, I'm ready to jump in. I'm ready to like keep touching on what you're talking about to help you get your train of thought back.
Dustin's word activates my thoughts.
And you come in and you fucking cuck me. But continue.
Sideswiped you. It's like, Dustin's like, yeah, can I get the, I ain't ordering something, and there's a guy that's just like, let me get the, like, just shoves you out of the way. So, or a concert, I don't know, that's a better description. Anyway, before it fades any further, guys,
he forgot.
I think it's perfectly okay for there to be different, quote-unquote, the ones. Yes, it's easy to say that somebody is the one. Do I believe that Ashley is the one for me and always has been? Yes. We have a very interesting story. Like, whenever we were children and stuff, we lived pretty close together, but we had never met until adults. It's crazy. Like, when I lived at my dad's, when my parents were together, she lived really close. When I moved to my mom's, whenever they split up, she lived in town really close. Really weird. And we've been to some of the same concerts. Never ran into each other. Unless we maybe have and just don't know. It's with this weird, like, she's always been there. Do I feel like it's destiny or something? Sure, I could go cliche with it. It's destiny for me and Ashley to be together. But I don't feel like you should put somebody in this box of, like, you're the only one. Because then you hold on so tightly that, like, you'll go through all the bad. Because sometimes, man, you just need to let people go.
Trust me.
And I mean, that can be said about any of me or Dustin's past relationships. It obviously didn't work out with those people, so forget them. Like, it's just like, and maybe some of them are still friends. I don't know. Well, when I think about it, I don't really talk to any of them, but it's just one of those things. Like, I do not believe that there has to be, like, a one. You might feel like somebody's the one at the time. Like Dustin and Trista, they have a cool story because they were meant for each other, but I guess in a way later in time, it just wasn't the right time before.
Nope.
And so, you guys got to keep that in mind. Don't hold on too tightly to things. I was watching Tyrone Magnus talk about, I'm going to take some of his words, million subscribe channel. He made a 4-part how to be a successful YouTuber, and I watched every single one because that man, he is a genuine awesome guy, and he has some great opinions on. He basically has me and Dustin's opinion about, like, just have fun and don't listen to the trolls and yada yada. So he said something about I'm forgetting something again.
Trav sucks
Way to go,
tonight.
me.
But it's okay, we love him.
I really do. I'm usually good on this, but tonight it's different. I'm kind of tired.
Wow. Trav's kind of
What was he gonna? What did he say? What was he gonna say? Lucas, you can relate. I've seen you do this in your vlogs. No, he knows. I've talked to Lucas on the phone, and he's like, man, what was I gonna say? Like all the time. But dang it, what was it? Anyway, you got anything else? I'll come back to that. Come back to
it. So, basically what I want to say, too, is, and I can kind of touch a little more on Tristan and I's story, too. Yeah, like, we were, like I said, we were split up for a long time, kind of found our way back into each other's lives. I mean, it's not like we ever really left each other's lives. Like, there was always, like, a care for her, because, to be honest, Trista was, like, back in high school. Trista was my high school sweetheart, too. Back in high school, like Trista was like my first real experience, like actually having that feeling of love for somebody and actually feeling that back. You know what I mean? It's one thing to love somebody, but if somebody doesn't love you back, it will literally fuck you up so bad. Especially if you're one of those people like me, like, and I'm sure Trav is the same way. Like when you're with somebody, you become kind of vulnerable to them, right? Like you tell them things you normally wouldn't tell other people. Like you kind of open yourself up. And when you open yourself up to somebody who just doesn't love you back or like you as much as what you like them, it hurts, especially whenever you guys are talking and things are kind of serious. Like it's one thing to like somebody, and never really like get past that, or like even talk to them necessarily like as like a couple or even talk about being in a relationship. But when you're talking to somebody, you're in a relationship with somebody, and you can generally tell too when like maybe they don't feel the same like I feel about them, because it's very easy to tell when they feel that way.
It needs to be 50-50.
Right. And that's how I felt with Trista. And the crazy thing, like we split up, and I remember for the longest time, and we remained friends the whole time. Sure, we didn't talk every single day, god damn, dude, we went years without talking at some point. But when we did talk, I always told her, I said, one day, I'm going to be with you again. And she was like, oh, like, we'll see. I don't think so. And I was like, no, I'm telling you, one day, I'm going to take you from him, and I'm going to be with you again. I'm going to fucking marry you one day. And I just kept telling her that. And I knew she was in a relationship. Did I know how bad the relationship was? No, I didn't. Of course, like, she wasn't going to tell me that. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't tell anybody. But I just kept saying it. And, like, here we are. It's because, like, I've been with other people. Obviously, she's been with other people since we split up. And, like, nothing just felt like with what I had with her. And she says it all the time. And she's like, it's almost like every girl you were with, you, like, tried to recreate me, and it never worked. And that's why you never lasted with him. She was like, because it wasn't me. And like the first time she said, I just kind of like laughed it all, like, oh no, but like really the more I thought about it, yeah, I looked for people because I wanted what I had with her with other people, and I never got it. And it just kind of worked out, you know, like I really do think Trista is the one, and like I said, I've been with multiple people, like relationship wise, in between Trista and I breaking up and getting back together. Like it was like 8 years or something like that. That's a really fucking long time to, not be with somebody. And, you like Jesus Christ, I was dating this girl. I fucking packed my bags and left Pennsylvania and moved to Florida on a fucking whim. And it didn't work, And the crazy thing about that relationship is I tried so fucking hard to make that relationship work that it got to this point that, like, I tried so hard that I lost who I was. And I just kind of accepted it, like, oh, this is my life now. And I wasn't happy. And she wasn't happy. And we fought and argued every day. And to kind of touch on what Trav said about, like, relationships, they don't have to be hard. They're only hard if you make it hard. That girl I was with, I'm just going to be honest, her name was Kristen. When I was with her, like, I don't care. She's never going to watch us anyway. And if she does, like, cool, whatever. And to be honest, like, I don't have any harsh feelings for her. I wish her well. I'm not, you know, really necessarily enthused with the way that she treated me at the end of the relationship, and I can touch on that too after this story. But like, we were fighting, and it got to the point that we fought about dumb shit. Like, it wasn't even anything serious. The reason why we broke up, and the only reason I even remember this, and the only thing I remember about my relationship with her is the bad shit anyway, just to be completely transparent with you guys, because there was more bad than good in that relationship. We broke up over food. Dead fucking serious. Through a 4-year relationship, almost 4-year relationship, out just because of food. And it had to end, right? Like, I know people were thinking, like, dude, 4 years is a really long time. Why do you make it work? It was never gonna work. We knew it wasn't gonna fucking work. Literally, the breakup fight was, she wanted to go to Pizza Hut and I wanted to go to Chipotle, and she was like, I'm not fucking going to Chipotle, out of the way. And I was like, dude, Chipotle is in the fucking parking lot of the Target, because this Target down there had like a Pizza Hut in it. You get little personal pan pizzas, and that's what she wanted because her mom worked there. And she was like, I'm not fucking going to Chipotle. I'm not spending my money on Chipotle. And I was like, 1, I have my own money. 2, I can fucking walk there. We don't even have to drive. I could have walked to Chipotle from my apartment to begin with. And I was like, I'll just go inside Target and I'll run across the parking lot and I'll go get Chipotle. And she just fucking wigged out. And I was like, okay. And it got to this point where, like, we sat in silence. But she was the type of person that, like, she knew what to do to piss me off, to get a reaction. She would mock me, right? Like, when I was mad and I would say something, she'd be like, me. Like, she did it to get a fucking reaction. And I remember I was talking to my friend Mike on Xbox, and I turned around to her because she was on the bed. I was sitting at, like, my little TV setup, and I turned around. I was like, you know what? Maybe we need to fucking take a break. And she was like, yeah, maybe. And I'm like, all right, well, fuck you then. I went and stayed with Mike, and her and I talked, and I knew, like, you know, we got along and stuff while I was with Mike, and she was where she was and with her parents, and, like, I just knew. I knew that when I was there, like, the 3 days I was gone, I knew that it wasn't going to work, and that was the end of it, and that was it. I come back, I packed my shit, and I left, and this is the part, if I was to resent her for anything, it's this right here. I was not doing okay with it because, like, at first I was like, oh, thank God, you know what I mean? Like, it's over. And then, like, you hit that sad stage where it's like, oh, man, it kind of sucks. Like, you kind of miss that person, or you just, you know, and it's not necessarily that I even missed her, but, like, I was just, mentally, I was not okay. And this is actually when I started daily vlogging on my old Life of Dustin channel. I'm sure Trav remembers that. Was like right after this breakup.
Blonde Dustin with constantly shaving the beard. It was all just so. No, I was about to mess with you. Like, it was all so bad because he kept shaving the beard. But and I kept telling him back in the day too. It was like, grow it out. You have a good beard if you just grow it out.
Yep.
And now he's like growing the beard
full
out
beard, baby.
And like actually having one.
So, but yeah. I was just struggling, man. And the day I actually started that vlog was the day that she said to me the most ignorant thing that anybody I've ever fucking cared about has ever said to me in my life. I had to go see her to take my name off the lease for the apartment. And I saw her and I felt better. And I kind of had like this good feeling like, oh, you know, maybe things are going to work out. But then again, I didn't want things to work out. But because I was depressed and sad, I was thinking stupid, right? I thought that I needed her to be happy. And that was not the case, obviously. Get back to my grandparents. I waited a couple hours, and I called her, and she answered. And I was like, hey. And she was like, oh, hey. And I was like, I just want to let you know that, like, seeing you today actually really helped me. Like, I was actually, like, really, like, depressed and, like, thinking suicidal. And her immediate response to me was, you should have just fucking killed yourself, and hung up the phone. And that is the last thing she said to me. Ever.
Wow.
The last thing she ever said to me.
No remorse, no nothing.
And now here's the thing. Normally when somebody says something that like that to you, you're like, you know, like, that's it. Like, break down. I laughed. And it all clicked. And this moment of clarity happened where I realized, you know what? I was never the fucking problem. It was her. I tried to make it work. She didn't want to make it work. She wanted to be with somebody else. And that was it. In that point in my life is where, like, I really, truly found myself and who I was as a person. And, you know, if that would have never happened, this whole podcast probably wouldn't even exist. Like, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. Like, if that would have never happened, I would have never moved back home. I would have never got back in contact with Trista. I wouldn't be getting married. I probably wouldn't even have this podcast with Trav. Like, things would have just been so different had I would have tried to make that relationship work. And it just goes to show that, like, you know, if you're not happy and you can tell that your significant other is not happy, try counseling. Like, if you really think that it can work, try counseling. If not, then you know what, man, they're just not for you. Or ma'am.
Yeah.
They're just not for you. Like, it's okay to move on and let go. Because honestly, letting go, like that day when she told me to kill myself, I let go. And that was the most beautiful feeling in the entire world of just being like, no, you know what? This is my life and I'm going to take back control. It was the best feeling.
Yeah, and back to what Tyrone said, because I remembered, he basically said, and he was just saying this as advice to about YouTube, but care just enough, but not too much.
Right.
Care, it's like some quote from somebody else he took. I think it might be Bruce Lee or something. Care just enough, but not too much. And it's like, yeah, it's good to care about that person. It's good. Just figure out where to draw the line. Like, her saying that to Dustin, would it have been stupid of him to chase her after that? Of course.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the line being drawn. It's like, care, just... So that's how I approach that's how just a little insight into me and Ashley's marriage, guys, is just, we don't take every little thing too seriously. As a matter of fact, some, like, arguments have turned into laughing about it, and joking about it, and joking about our flaws. I love that so much, because there's a lot of ways we're the same, we have our differences, but it's like, but we're not complete opposites. You know, it does help that we have things in common, yada yada. We're just very laid-back people, and that helps. I'm not saying everyone has to be like that, but it also helps if you're just a chill person, you get with a chill person. Mm-hmm. It just is very, like, we just don't, like, we're just like, whatever. Like, I don't know how to explain it. We're very mellow.
That's how Trista and I are, too. And like, we have fun.
Yeah, and I get that. I sense that,
Trista
too.
and I have so much fun.
And, yeah.
Like, just, like, making fun of each other, too. Things, but, like, even in a playful way. Like today, I worked from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m., like I said. And when you sit in a leather chair, like, and you have, like, both your monitors on and your computers on and you're up in your room, like, it gets hot in that little area when there's electronics on. Excuse me, I just burped. I drank...
#burp time.
I drank a fucking Pepsi, baby. But, like, I went down to give Trista a hug before she went to work, and she was like, ew. And I was like, what? She goes, is that you? And I was like, well, I fucking sat in my sweat. Yeah, I stink. And, like, we just laughed, you know? And she was like, she's like, you're so lucky, I love you. She's like, you stink, go take a bath. Like, stuff like that. And I mean, we just laugh. Like, Trista does this thing, like, when she laughs really hard, her right eye closes, like, squints, and I always, like, mock her and do it, and she's like, fuck you, like, but we laugh about it. Like, yeah, I mean, I necessarily can't call that a flaw, but, like, it's just something she does. Like, we just poke fun at each other and just have fun, you know, we're just good sports about it. Like, her and I can take jokes well.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about, man. Relationships are only hard if you make them hard. Sometimes you just need to be the bigger person and say, hey, look, like, you know, set ground was like, look, this can't continue on, because if this continues on, then I'm going to have to, you know, we're going to have to do something else, because I'm not going to keep fighting with you. Like, it's only hard if you guys make it hard. Why was it hard for Kristen and I? She knew what to do to get under my skin. And back then, I was the type of person where, like, my anger was bad. So when she would get under my skin, I knew what to say and I knew what to do to just piss her off more. And it was just a constant back and forth until, like, one of us fucking completely flip the fuck out. And that's not how it should be. You know, you guys, it's only hard if you make it hard. You know, you'll know, you know, think about your current relationship. You know, do you guys have fun? Do you guys get along well? Like, can you work through your issues now? And if you can, then there's a good chance that a marriage in the future will work out. But if you guys are having issues in just a fucking normal relationship and you don't even live together, then just get the fuck out of that relationship and don't even waste your time, because I can tell you from experience it's never going to work. No matter how hard you try, it's never going to work. You can change who you are as a person, but you can't change who they are as a person.
Exactly, and I feel like people need to learn the hard truths. People are like really young, even grown adults, like in the 30s, are like got this mindset of like, gotta make it work, like no matter what. I don't give up on people, and it's like, cool, man, I get it, but don't. There's a difference, man. It's like you just gotta figure that out mentally. It's mental first. Figure it out. Don't put so much into it with so little return. But love unconditionally, and there's a line there where it's kind of hard. It's a gray area sometimes, trying to figure that out. It's like, how do I like not expect stuff in return, but you're kind of like, you know, well, it'd be nice if you loved me back. You know, there is a difference. But yeah, like basically what Dustin said basically sums up the whole conversation is it's supposed to be fun, and that was the point I was getting to, is like, do not let it just be this like for him to look at me in the eyes and be like, it's hard, isn't it? It's like, what are you talking about? Like, this is my partner. This is the person I live with. Like, I'm not saying I'm not alone. Like, I can deal with being alone. And there's those people too that are like, I can never be alone, and like all that.
And you know, I thought the same thing, and then when I was alone, I quickly realized, and I even told Trish this. I was like, you know, she's like, well, what if things haven't worked out between us? Like, we played those scenarios, you know, like, well, where do you think you would be if we would have never got back together? And I was like, you know what, man, I honestly feel like I would have been alone, but like not alone in the sense of like having no one, but alone in like not having a partner. And you know what, like that's okay. You can be very successful and be alone. Like you don't need somebody in your life to be happy. Like I have my friends. Am I glad I'm with Trista? Oh, fucking yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't want it any other way. But had her and I would have never crossed paths again, I would have been, you know, like I was content with where my life was going before her and I started dating. And I'm very content with my life now being with her. But either way, you know, like that was a choice that like, or a decision, you know, if it would have came down to that, like that I would have been okay with living my life alone, if need be. But I'm just, like I said, I'm glad that things happened. Does that make sense what I said? Like, are you following me?
Do what?
Are you following what I'm saying? Like, am I making sense?
Yeah, I thought you asked, can you hear me? Or is everything, I don't know. I was like, what happened? You got cut out? Or, which we have had that happen. The phone has randomly hung up on each other, and we're like, well, got to call back. Yep. And then Dustin's on the other line, like, yeah, I hear it in the recording later. He's like, well, we just lost Trav or something. It's like, what? Like, you're still trying to save this. Like, you're still trying to save this moment.
Gotta save it.
Of the recording, because Dustin's like, all one take, let's go. Anyway, yeah, I had to completely agree with that. And I knew that, you know, we've talked about this kind of thing before. I figured me and Dustin would agree on some of this stuff. And even if we didn't, it's one of those things, like, we can be friends and, like, well, like Dustin said at the beginning, you can still be friends and have different views. Hey, it's all full circle, guys. You know, it's just, like, I just think people just take this crap so seriously, and I just, like, I don't know. I think the people that are really serious in their marriage, and it's a serious thing, don't get me wrong. Don't take marriage as like, oh, it's so fun, right? It's like a piece of sugar. Like, I'm just like, no, it can be difficult, but you can't, like Dustin said, you can't let it be. And sometimes you gotta check yourself. There's an ego thing with marriage and relationships in general. It's like, there's an ego you have to let go. Like, you can't always be like, you're the one to blame. Check yourself. In Dustin's situation with the other girl, it was her fault. But there are times where it's like, it is you. Just make sure you're just
but you know what?
things.
I can't even necessarily pin the blame on
Everyone
her.
has something they're working on.
Right.
You know?
I can't necessarily pin the blame on her. It was both of us. We just weren't good for each other. And I can tell you too, for those people that say, you know, oh, I need somebody, I can't be alone. Listen, the best time to work on yourself as an individual is when you're alone. And people can say, well, you know, what about being in a relationship? They can build you up. Yeah, that's one thing. But like, had I would have not.
But people rely on relationships to survive. I can't stay. I'm like, nope.
Right. And, you know, like had I would have not taken that time for myself when I lived in Florida, could I have moved on? Yeah, probably, but I didn't want to. Reason being is because like I said, when that moment happened, I found myself and I was, you know what? This is my life. I'm going to take back control. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to live how I want to live, and I'm going to have fun doing it. And in doing that, I came to the terms with like, okay, like if I'm ever going to be with somebody, they need to accept me, like me for me. Like, this is who I am. This is my life. This is what I like to do. If you can work around that and you can make it work, I'm willing to do the same thing for you, and things can happen. And you know, and things will work out. And that's how it was with Trista and I. You know, like I told her, I was like, look, you have your life, I have my life. We can come together and we can make it work. And, you know, if you're willing to do that, then this is going to be a beautiful relationship, and that's how it's going. And Tristan and I build each other up every single day, you know? And yeah. that is how it should be. That is how a relationship works.
Support each other no matter, you know, figure out things before you go in. If you think there's something in a relationship you're not going to 100% support, don't even ask the girl out or guy. I don't know. I just think there should be precautions. Don't chase the, like, one-night stands and stuff because you're like, oh, maybe it'll turn into a relationship, whatever. Like, get off your whole, like, I need, like, 5 minutes of fun and, like, all. Just, like, pursue something real. And that's not my recommendation. I have one. But pursue something real because it's worth it in the end. I think it's working out for me and Dustin. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean as a couple because we are not together.
We are in spirit.
Yeah, I made it really weird, but you know, we have our separate relationships, and I think when the four of us hang out, whenever that happens, it's gonna be a blast from the past.
Oh yeah,
because I feel like Tristan and Ashley hit it off. I feel like they have similarities. I don't know. You know, you don't know Ashley that well. I don't know Trista that well, but whenever we do, it'll be.
I don't know how Ashley is, but Trista is a very outgoing person around new people. Like, Trista loves me.
And Ashley's not. She's a shell you have to break out of. 'Cause you should have seen Ashley at that freaking bar on her birthday. She gets crazy. All right?
See, and here's the thing about Trista, though.
I try to explain that. She had several shots that Kelsey kept buying her. And then they kept, like, and I didn't have a shot, but there was this cranberry drink that I sent Dustin a picture of. I was like, this is delicious. It's vodka. It's got this cranberry sweet flavor in it. And I was like, this is the best thing I've tasted all night. But then when you pull the straw up to the top of the glass, it tastes like straight vodka and it's gross. So I figured out the trick. Keep it on the bottom and it tastes like the cranberry. Like, just stupid stuff. But, so Ashley had several shots, and she wasn't drunk. Like, I didn't have to drag her in, but she was asking me afterwards, like, am I acting drunk? Like, what's the difference? And I'm like, you're very talkative and very, like, it wasn't, like, in Willie D's where we went, they have a rule right now with COVID, you know, don't dance or anything, and Ashley's not like it. She's not going to go to a club and dance. I mean, if we went together, like, yeah, we'd probably dance together and stuff, just because that's the environment, But this place, it was like, don't dance, and they have it's called the piano bar, and there's always two guys on the separate pianos, and they do covers and requests, and they did a happy birthday thing for Ashley, because Kelsey requested it, and it's kind of raunchy, you know, they always sing about, like, what are you doing tonight, or whatever, like, and he sung to her, like, something so, like, vulgar, like, if I'm not with you tonight, I'll just be in my closet, like, whacking off or whatever, and just like it's just funny. It's a totally different environment. It's something that I wouldn't do all the time. It's just like, it's different. And with Kelsey, Ashley is like a whole different person, and that's okay because I feel like we all have our different sides to ourselves. And Ashley's a very quiet person when you meet her. On our first date, she barely said anything. It was weird whenever I was the one talking out, because I was way more shy back then. I mean, I'm a little better now, but it just, I don't know. But anyway, guys, what is Dustin's recommendation?
My recommendation is, before I get into it, I just want to say I think the animated Batman movies are super, super underrated. I don't feel like...
I forgot about that.
I really don't feel like they get enough recognition. And Trav in my care package sent me Mask of the Phantasm. I watched it a few times. I love it. And one that's been on my radar is The Killing Joke. Couldn't find it anywhere. Super hard to buy like a physical copy of for whatever reason. It's on Netflix. And I was just really shocked. And it makes me want to just watch every Batman animated movie ever that fall in that time. And it was just really good. If you're a fan of Batman, I know
Mark Hamill, Kevin Conroy.
You can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong. And it's a rated R animated
Mark
movie.
Hamill sounds so good too, especially the older he got. He's got that kind of raspiness on the Joker voice now, and it's like he's good back in the day too, but he's got kind of an older Joker voice going now, and it's like the animation of that movie, I'll just say real quick, is definitely not onto the tier of the book, because the graphic novel is actually really short. That whole Batgirl thing at the beginning did not happen in the book. They just wanted to make a longer movie. I have some negative thoughts about that. Maybe another time I'll talk about it, but it was a very forced, they just wrote that part just to make the movie longer. Whenever, honestly, they could have dealt with what the book was. Which was the going into the asylum and talking to Joker or whatever. That's where the book starts.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, but it's whatever. At the end of the day, it's good. It's these great voice actors reprising their roles. And I actually saw that they actually here in town, because this was the only theater, but I didn't live in the city at the time. But they had a 2-day thing at the theater. And me and Ryan and my buddy Colin all went to see that. And he had made us, because he's a huge comic book fanatic, and he had made us buy and read The Killing Joke, and I still have it. Dustin, if you've never actually looked at The Killing Joke comic, it's you basically saw it on screen, but the art style is phenomenal. It's one of the best looking comics I've ever seen. It's soon. Some of the best. Yeah. Was that your recommendation?
Watch The Killing Joke on Netflix. It's my recommendation.
Okay. All right. Mine is a little channel that I found literally today. If you guys like really weird, but also it's actually, speaking of animation, I was randomly looking up, because I'm still on my second playthrough of Alien Isolation, kind of feeling spooky lately with because I have this thing where I'm playing it and Ashley watches, and I'm not playing it without her. Because she's wanting to see the whole game, so that's cool. And by the way, guys, if you guys are gamers, real quick, find a girl that likes that kind of thing. Why are you searching after the people that are opposites? Because it's going to end up being a problem. I promise you. In some shape or form, unless she's 100% okay with it. I'm not saying the girl has to game, but find the girl that's okay with it and that is open to video games and stuff. If that's a part of your life, because gaming is in my blood. And Ashley was already a girl that had beat a bunch of the Halos and stuff when I met her, and she's into gaming. So I was like, okay, you're the one, basically, fine. Anyway. Playing that, looking up, and then some random suggestion popped up, and then I ended up subscribing to the channel. It's called Vewm, V-E-W, Vewm? No, it's, V-E-W-N. And it's the weirdest animation. Their first video is called, Pizza Story or something like that, and all their titles are lowercase. It's just this really crazy looking animation, fully drawn. And there's one about a cat opening its third eye and all this weird stuff. It's kind of dark, but can be funny. There's, I don't know, it's a really weird channel. They only have maybe 10 videos, but last one was 4 months ago, and I was very surprised with how funny, but also that pizza one was really. It speaks to you, because it's a girl that's I make pizzas all the time. And she, mentions, I work at a pizza shop and I make pizzas all the time just for, those pizzas to like be pooped out the next day, and none of it matters. And I just gotta do it all over and again. It was just basically an episode about like working and how it's just a constant thing, and it ends kind of like on a like okay kind of note. So it's just one of those channels that makes you think. Really random recommendation, but I mean, I like them so far. It's kind of like it's one of those like really weird and trippy animation channels that like make you think a little bit, and it's funny at the same time. So anyway, guys, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Tweet at us, email us, like us on all the social platforming, and listen to us on Spotify. All that we are available on Spotify, by the way. If you have a car and you have an aux cord, we're there. We're there for you. Just saying.
We there.
So check us out. Dustin, is there anything you want to say before we go?
No, I think we covered it pretty well. Maybe next time we'll actually have like another definitive subject to talk about, because I actually like talking about these things. I just love doing this podcast, man. That's all.
All right, man. Yeah, we love you guys, and we'll be talking to you next time.
Okay, flip.